Let's begin. Today is August 1st, 2024, and we're solving the Daily Turing Machine Puzzle. Today's puzzle uses the following 6 criteria cards. Criteria card 4, 9, 13, 16, 19, and 21. And the puzzle uses the orange verification cards. Your code above is your way to get more information on today's puzzle by searching the code on turingmachine.info. Let's go solve. So in the grid above, we've got our 6 criteria cards. On the top row, we've got criteria card A, criteria card B, and criteria card C. On the bottom row, we've got criteria card D, criteria card E, and finally criteria card F. Criteria card A looks at our middle digit, the square digit, and compares it to the number 4. So should the value of square be less than 4? Should it be equal to 4? Or should it be greater than 4? Criteria card B looks at the 3-digit solution, and the Turing machine will let us know how many of those digits are 3. Are there no 3s? Is there a single 3? Perhaps 2? Maybe even all 3 are 3. Criteria card C is comparing our middle and last digit, square and circle, and basically asks whether the square value should be less than circle, should they be equal to each other, or should the square value be greater than circle? Criteria card D, again, looks at our 3-digit solution, but this time will tell us a little bit about the ratio of even to odds. Should there be more even than odds, or should there be less even than odds? Criteria card E looks at our first 2 digits, adds them up, and compares the sum to 6. So should the sum be less than 6? Should it be equal to 6? Or should it be greater than 6? And finally, criteria card F again looks at our 3-digit solution and will let us know a little bit about its structure, specifically if there is a pair in the solution, as in the example 131. Or alternatively, if there is no pair, there are 2 scenarios, one where all the digits are different, as in the example 134, or all the digits are the same, as in the example 222. Remember, the objective of today's puzzle is to find that unique 3-digit code that abides by all of the 6 criteria cards we just discussed. And we're going to start off with an initial proposal of 314. So the first thing I want to test is I want to know something about the ratio of even to odds. So let's go ahead and test criteria card D. Okay, so in this case, the Turing machine does not approve of my proposal. Notice that I do have 2 odds to a single even. It disagrees, so that means that in fact there are more even than odds. So let's go ahead and type that up in our notes. Even is greater than odd. And basically we have a couple of scenarios. Either there are 2 evens and a single odd, or perhaps they could all be even. Next, I think I'd like to test criteria card F to see if there's a pair or not. Okay, so if you look at my initial proposal, 314, they are all unique. So that means that there, in fact, is no pair. So let's go ahead and type that up in our notes in section F. So we'll say the solution has no pair. And because it has no pair and there are more even than odds, that means that in fact it's going to have a 2, the solution is going to have a 2, a 4, and an odd. Of course, not necessarily in that order, but just stating that since we do have 2 evens and they're not paired up, they are distinctly 2 and 4, and that 3rd digit must be odd. Okay. Now we do have this criteria card B that asks how many 3s there are. So there could be a 3 or there couldn't be. That's sort of a 50-50. But I'd like to learn a little bit more of whether maybe I can eliminate a 1 or a 5, so that way the odds are better to, if it isn't a 3, well, which one is it? Is it a 1 or a 5? So let's see, what else could we test? We could test, so sometimes when we do have two evens, the sum could be 6. So let's see, what if the sum were 6? So that would be 2 and 4, because that's the only way you could now get a 6, is with those two evens. And then basically the circle would be the odd value. Now, of course, square would tell us which of the two evens it might be. It could be a 4 or it could be a 2. And then that would force triangle to be the other even. And then maybe perhaps comparing square to circle would lead us to that odd. So it could be, depending on whether it's greater than or less than, it could be that it could be 4 is greater, square is greater than circle, and that leaves you with 1 and 3, and then criteria card B will tell you, yes, it is a 3, or no, it's a 1, or it could be a 2, and square is less than circle, and again, you'd have 3 and 5, and likewise. So I think that's maybe what could happen. That said, let's, and of course it can't be equal. That's another bonus, right? It can't be equal, not even among the evens. And of course, even an odd, there won't be equal. So actually, this is a good card, I think, to test, because at this point, it is a 50-50, and if we miss it, we can adjust in the second round. So let's go ahead and test criteria card C. Okay, so notice that I do have a square with 1 and a circle with 4. So in my case, the Turing machine does not agree with square being less than circle. So in fact, again, as we stated, it can't be equal. So we're going to deduce that square should be greater than circle. So let's go ahead and type that up in the notes in section C. And again, that square is greater than circle. Okay, and since square should be greater, and I guess I should have typed in that we're deducing it. So let me just as a precaution, I'll just say deduced. Because again, we didn't really test it and got a confirmation. But so that said, since square needs to be greater than circle, that means that square cannot be a 1, because if square were 1 and it's supposed to be the biggest, there's nothing smaller for circle to be. And similarly, circle can't be a 5, because if circle were a 5, there isn't anything bigger than the 5 for square to be. Okay, so we at least eliminated those two possibilities. And that does it for this round. We've already completed our 3 Turing tests, and we're moving on to the phase of talking through how to construct a good second round proposal. So let's go back to that idea of maybe triangle and square adding up to 6. So we've already eliminated our 5. So if that were the case, then it almost feels that square should be 4, so that again you had to pick between 1 and 3 odd. So let's go do that. Let's say it's 2, 4, and we'll say 3. Let's include the 3 this time. So 2, 4, 3, that's 6, and 3 is less than 4. Yeah, 4 is greater than 3. So yeah, that falls under criteria card C. All right, so let's test it out. Now, if it is, let's see, we may be able to deduce that well, no, maybe we can't deduce that there's a 3. But, and if we test the sum being 6, we don't know. Let's see, could we deduce the order? What if it was 4, 2? Well, we know square has to be bigger. Could it be 4, 2, 1? If it's 4, 2, 1, could we somehow not test criteria card B? I don't see the logic in that. So let's go ahead. Well, actually, if we test A and we do get a 4, well, can we deduce that the sum is 6? I'm not sure. Well, let's go ahead and just test criteria card A. Okay, so yes, it is true that square is 4. So that was A. So let's type that up. That square is equal to A. I mean, square is equal to 4. I apologize. Okay, and since it is 4, well, we can actually cross out everything but the 4. Okay, so what are our, obviously, you know, we could get a 6. Is there any other possibility? The only other possibility is, okay, if this is not a 2, it must be an odd. So that would mean it'd be 4, 2. Square 4, circle 2. Okay, so which odd would it be? The only possibility would be if it were 3. Because if it's not 3, then how do you pick between 1 and 5? Perhaps the sum. Yeah, that's a possibility. Okay. So we test, actually, we test the sum. Yeah, I think we still would have to test everything. Well, let's go ahead and test the sum. Yeah, because both triangle and circle are 3. And if there is a 3, you know, not sure where it would go. Yeah. All right, so let's test criteria card E for the sum. Okay, wow, it is not 6. Very interesting. Okay, I wonder, did it get just a little more difficult? Well, no. Okay, so if it's not 6, that means we can deduce the circle is 2. Because we need a 2. And so, okay, so that's interesting. So let's do this. Let's see, in our notes here, we'll say that triangle plus square plus square is either, we'll say, less than or greater than 6. So we know it's not a 2 or a 4. It must be odd. So let's just, yeah, go ahead and cross out the 2 and the 4. And of course, I want to put a note somewhere that because of this, we'll just put it like this. Circle is equal to 2. Okay, and so let's cross out everything. Actually, let me do this. Let me bring this all the way back. And we deduce that circle is 2, so let's cross it out. Okay, so yeah, so I think it might have complicated things, because if there is no 3, then is the sum less than or greater than? And I don't think there's anything we can do. We can just hope that maybe there is a 3. Oh, wow, I was not anticipating that. Okay, well, let's test criteria card B. Okay, there is no 3. So my general feeling is that it should be a 5. And this is the reason. Typically, these cards are there to sort of eliminate possibilities. So if it were, I think, 1, 4, 2, the 3 would be irrelevant. Meaning, or, this card would be irrelevant because you wouldn't even be able to add 4 and 3 and get something that's less than 6. That's only reserved, at least at this point, for 1 and 4. So really the no 3 is there to sort of distinguish between 3, 4 and 5, 4, because they both add up to something greater than 6. So that's my feeling, but but I am going to go to a 3rd round just to confirm, just to be absolutely sure that the sum is actually greater than 6. But I did forget to write down that there is no single 3-digit, or there is no 3-digit at all. In the solution. Okay, well, we're going to a 3rd round, and again, my feeling is that it's going to be 5, 4, 2. So let's test that, and very quickly let's test the sum, because that's the only thing that'll distinguish it. So let's go ahead and test E one more time. And yes, of course, that was true. So let's adjust our notes here to say that the sum is greater than 6. And of course, that means that triangle is not a 1. And in fact, the solution is 5, 4, 2. So let's go ahead and type that up. Okay. Well, I think we're pretty clear here. We basically got, I think, confirmation on everything. Well, we deduced here, but everything else looks good. And this was very interesting that it would default to 2. I'm not sure why, but I just find that interesting. Okay, well, let's go to verify the solution of 542. 5, 4, 2, and let's test. Awesome. So we got it. Now let's see how we did. So what did we test? I know we went to 3 rounds. One more test, then there are criteria cards. Maybe we tied with a Turing machine, not sure. Okay, so we did C, D, F in the first round, and then the other 2, the other remaining 3, and we just did E twice. So C, D, F. So C was incorrect, D was incorrect, F was correct. In the second round, A was correct, B was incorrect, and E was incorrect. And of course, in the third round, we were correct with that adjustment. So let's see how we did. Okay, wow, so we still beat the Turing machine by 1 question. Very impressive. All right. Well, again, I think our first round test really set us up because we knew it was going to be 2, 4, and an odd. I think that was very advantageous going into round 2. Even though we got the initial sum wrong, we adjusted, and and that's what this game's about. being able to adjust and make changes when necessary. Well, if you have any input, please share them in our comment section. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up so that more people can find the channel. And if you don't want to miss out on any future videos, make sure to hit subscribe to be notified. Well, until next time, have a great one.